Yes, you videotaping this? Canadian winters, they're really brutal. Doesn't matter if you're an artist or a billionaire, everyone has to get out of bed, get the snow off their coat.
Okay, so where are we going?
Take number 3. We're off to CHCH Television Studios in beautiful downtown Hamilton, Ontario. It's a brisk morning, -4 degrees, and we're heading down the Jolly Cut. We're to downtown core, where Ron is going to give his performance of a lifetime for the audiences of the greater Hamilton, Toronto area. Right now, Ron is being the videographer and preparing himself mentally for his performance, and I am trying not to hit other vehicles in traffic. This is so nondescript. Why am I doing this?
Hello?
Here today with my good friend Ron Korb, Grammy Award nominee, master musician, and is it flutist or flautist? Let's settle this now.
Flutist is the American usage, and flautist is the British.
And which do you prefer?
I prefer flutist.
Flutist. So today I thought we'd ask you, because you are a veteran studio musician. You've been in tons of studios working with all sorts of people, from A-list composers to people who are just putting together vanity records. And you among so many people would have suggestions to make for composers and other people, inviting musicians into their studio, best practices, how to get the best performance out of people, and how to make the experience really enjoyable and valuable for everyone. So do you have like a top 3 of things that you'd suggest people prepare and how they approach the whole process?
Yes, number 1 is know what kind of musician you want for the particular song. A lot of songs, of course, require improvisation. A lot of people don't really have a set part. So obviously choose somebody who can do that, and maybe listen to some of the other records that they've done, and you kind of have an idea of what you want them to try to express in your piece. If you are going to get them to play a set thing, make sure you have it written out properly. Don't just print it out of your computer. Maybe get the assistance of someone who really knows how to read music, if you don't read music yourself, that is, and just have the part set, and then actually send it to the player in advance, so they can kind of sort of maybe see some problems. Maybe if something goes out of range or whatever, they can kind of correct those before they even go into the studio.
That's great. So for people that are able to write charts and are writing out the entire part for the musician, anything you would encourage them to do or think about as they're writing that music?
Well, again, now the computers can do so much, right? So when you add a live instrument, you really want it to just sort of bring your score or song to the next level. So really make sure you're utilizing that, getting the human expression out. And again, with instruments, for instance, I've been learning a Korean instrument recently, and it plays in B flat primarily, and certain notes sound really good. So try to make sure that those notes are predominant in your piece, if you can. And just a very simple problem, like for instance, a lot of Celtic music, most Celtic music is either in G or D or B minor, E minor, the relative minors. So when you're writing the piece, make sure you write it in those keys, because a Celtic player is used to riffing in those keys, and if you put it into some other funny key like D flat or something, they're really going to have a hard time, and you're not going to get the best out of them.
Right. Do you ever work with composers who might not necessarily write or read music, or do you have suggestions for how people that are in that position might work with you?
Well, all the time I'm working with composers that don't read music, and a lot of them are extremely talented. Just again, all those things I said, like try to get the best out of the player by sort of playing to their strengths. Just again, if a guy's a really fantastic dobro player, well, have him play dobro. Don't tell him to play mandolin or some other instrument that he might not be And same with the flute. What's really good about the flute is the expression that you can get out of it.
Right.
Right. And you can hold notes. You have this beautiful sostenuto. You can add vibrato. You can pull it back. So again, just, you know, if you don't read music and you might not have a written part, at least know what you're kind of going for. Don't just sort of tell the guy, well, play anything, which is what a lot of people tell you. It's better if you have some sort of idea.
Right.
You know, yeah, what you want.
Cool. So, can you give us some examples, some charts that you've seen that were particularly bad?
Well, a lot of people just print out their charts from Logic or something, and it has a lot of mistakes in it. Like mistakes, like rhythmical mistakes.
Right.
Because it's not either quantized or it's just, the computer is just not really interpreting the MIDI right. And the case in point is usually like it's just straight quarter notes, like ba 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 ba, but it's sort of putting this funny rest in, and everything is juxtaposed. So just try to eliminate those sort of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would love to hear some demos on things that you think are really idiomatic to the flute, and then, you know, if someone's writing for the flute, what are the things the flute does really well?
Well, again, like I said about sustain, like. It's very good with dynamics, and again, like the way I can sort of bring the tone in straight and then add vibrato, like. And then, of course, when you're talking about ethnic flutes or world flutes, there's this whole other palette of things that you can do, like. You know, these sort of sounds.
And how do you notate that?
Well, you just notate the notes, and then you maybe will write an instruction, like, you know, you want breath attack or something like that. So those are things that you can really draw out of a live player. And those are actually things that are hard to do with samples, you know. So I really encourage that kind of thing.
What are some other cool extended techniques on the
flute?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's the thing, the multiphonics, like what, you know, Jethro Tull is, of course, known for, is singing and playing at the same time.
That's cool.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of other stuff there too, like even funny trills or like overblowing. Those are good, and especially in film, like horror films and things. That can be flute actually has a lot of different kind of articulation that it can do, but you can even do things like that, or double tonguing, which is what I was just doing, like taka taka taka. That has a different sound than when you single tongue. So it gives it a bit more percussive sound. Again, sounds, you know, again, flute is very good at sounding classical too, if you want to have some sort of classical thing. I mean, sometimes I'm with a composer, and, you know, one part will be in India, and I'll use a bamboo flute and say, okay, now I want it to sound legit. I want it to sound like you're a principal flutist in an orchestra. And it's just an entirely different thing. But those notes really help. The other thing I would say that I really love as a session player is when the composer tells me what the scene is about.
Right.
And a lot of times they don't really do that. You just have a cue and you're playing this thing, and it really helps if I know, like, it's a love scene or what's happening, or even watching the picture when I'm playing. I find that really helps a lot. Again, to fit in and draw the emotion.
Those are some great tips. Thanks so much, Ron. So I want to ask you a little bit about World Cafe, which you just released. Where are you at with that album project now?
Well, it's finished.
Yeah, it's finished.
Yeah, it's
Congrats.
finished. It's finished, and well, I'm just, again, the promotion of an album is like a huge thing. It takes basically a year. So like just today, we did the television show, and getting more reviews coming online.
Where can people find it online?
You can find it at all the major streaming sites, Amazon.com, iTunes. It can be ordered from CD Baby. It can also be ordered from my own website, ronkorb.com. the physical copy, which I actually very much recommend because
Awesome.
it's a whole kind of booklet.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really
yeah,
gorgeous thing
yeah.
designed by your wife, Jade.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where can people find you online to follow you and to keep up with what you're doing?
Well, again, Facebook, and again, my own website is always the best, ronkorb.com.
Ron, thanks so much. Ron, thanks. Let's do that again. Ron, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you
Yeah.
around.